Welcome back to ESPN's March Madness coverage. First round of the NCAA tournament just ready to get underway. 14-seed Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts will be taking on the Cougars of Washington State. Third-seeded and ranked number 13 nationally. Been a great season for the Cougars, led by a couple of great guards in Derek Lowe and Kyle Weaver. They got a big man from Australia named Aaron Baines who's been giving them some great minutes in production in the latter half of this season, just when it counts. But right now, this is a guard-driven offense. Derek Lowe and his three-point firing has been a big key this season for Washington State. They play great team defense, and he loves to move without the ball and fire three-pointers. He's their leading scorer on the season, shooting three-pointers at 40%. He's made 70 of them on this season, helping lead Washington State to a 25-7 record. 14 wins better than they were a year ago. And Derek Lowe with that outstanding season so far. He is also paired in the backcourt with Kyle Weaver. So this is a 1-2 combination that can really get things done for Washington State. They finished second to UCLA in the regular season. In the Pac-10, they made it as an at-large bid. It's only the 5th tournament appearance for Washington State, and their first since 1994. Oral Roberts out of the Mid-Continent Conference, 2 straight Mid-Continent Tournament championships, and they've got a guy named Caleb Green. He's a big fella at 6'8", 255, doesn't mind stepping out and shooting just a little bit, but Caleb Green, a 3-time Mid-Continent Conference Player of the Year. You know he'll be getting a whole lot of touches today for the Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts. They finished their season at 23-10 overall. First place at 12-2 during the regular season in the Mid-Continent Conference, then won the tournament championship. They're the numbers for Green. Almost 21 points a game, shoots 51% with 9 rebounds per game. They are ready for the opening tip out there in Sacramento, the first game at that site in this NCAA championships. 2 teams have punched their ticket to the second round. Maryland winning just moments ago over Davidson, and prior to that, Boston College knocking out Texas Tech. Ready for the opening tip out in Sacramento. We get you out to the start of Oral Roberts and Washington State.
TV by Harris Corporation, the world leader in broadcast systems for high-definition TV and mobile media. And we are underway here at Arco Arena.
And JB, more than any other matchups here in Sacramento, extreme contrasts in tempo and style. And remember, Oral Roberts has that dominating big man in Caleb Green.
Very deliberate style of play, as we mentioned, by the Cougars in white. Kyle Weaver handling the ball out front. And this is Green. Caleb Green getting the friendly roll for the basket for ORU.
Well, the Golden Eagles definitely want to extend their defense. They recognize Washington State, very deliberate, wants to play in the 50s. Got to find a way to disrupt that rhythm and that efficiency that Washington State has used to get to 25 wins this season.
Easy baskets like that will certainly help. Nice block. All season long, Sean King has been doing just that. Very good shot blocker as we take a look at the keys to the game. First for Oral Roberts.
Well, when you take a look at those keys to the game, push and pressure. We talked about extending the defense. Got to get some easy baskets. And Washington State needs the flawless ball handling of Derek Lowe, as well as his scoring.
Liberty has the ball stolen. Lowe.
On cue, baby, Derek Lowe.
All Pac-10 player tying the game up. ORU, the Mid-Continent champions, believing they can get it done, Len.
Well, I talk about, again, they're going to be faced with a tremendous defensive team in Washington State. Yeah, this is a team in Washington State that led the Pac-10 in fewest points allowed.
Blocking foul called on Kyle Weaver as excellent ball handler looking to get around him.
And when you talk about fewest points allowed, that's one metric for defense, but the other, and probably the most important as far as coaches are concerned, field goal percentage defense. They were second in the Pac-10, allowing about 40% from the field.
Nice move on the inside, strong move. Clark with the basket. Make that King.
Well, again, this is just a nice, patient offense that Oral Roberts is showing right here, and a nice cut down the middle by Sean King. And Caleb Green has demonstrated, as well as Ogunye, that they can pass the ball as well as score.
Opening moments of the game here in Sacramento, this East Region first round matchup between Washington State and Oral Roberts. Derek Lowe, outstanding guard for Washington State, picked up his foul. They can ill afford to have him in foul difficulty, the leading scorer.
Well, so far, again, it's been pretty much the Oral Roberts pace as they missed the layup, but they've been able to push the ball a little bit, get out, and get the floor open enough so that their big guys can cut to the basket as well as get post-ups.
And to drive that point home again, Lynn, as we mentioned, because the Cougars play such a deliberate style of play, ORU would like to get some easy baskets as we take a look at that basket dropped in there by Taylor Rochester. And those of you looking for the tip of these games, we will get you there shortly. ORU having some difficulty controlling that ball, handling the ball, Len.
Well, the bottom line is you're trying to speed up the game, but you don't want to get out of rhythm. And Oral Roberts will have a tendency to do that if they try to play faster than normal.
Nice look inside, but blocked by Sean King.
Boy, Sean King is making a statement today, and that statement is no layups.
3 blocks already in the opening minutes of play.
Another turnover by Oral Roberts, and again, they know that they're going to turn the ball over a bit, but they want to continue to push the ball, increase their opportunities, try to speed up the tempo of this game.
Off the mark by Derek Lowe, rebounded by the Golden Eagles. Tut, slicing to the basket. Nice 1-2 punch we talked about with Caleb Green and Ken Tut. Tut, a 6'1", 200-pound senior guard. Clutch performer indeed.
Well, that was an example, JB, of what Oral Roberts wants to do. Get it off the glass and push it up the floor. And certainly, again, in the half court and the full court, they want to be able to pressure. But it's been interesting. The last 2 possessions of Washington State, they haven't exactly held the ball. You know, they've been getting the first good look, and they've been taking it.
Give the credit to Adam Liberty for knocking that ball loose. Foul call under the basket. Adam Liberty, 6'2" guard for ORU. Credit him for keeping that play alive.
Well, Louisville not quite done with Stanford, but this one decided a long time ago. 77-58 in the latter stages of that one. Louisville about to advance to the second round. Stanford will go home in a one-and-done situation. 5 Louisville players in double digits, led by David Padgett, 16 points, as Rick Pitino moving his team on to the second round. Maryland escaped an upset. Davidson had them on the ropes a bit mid-second half, but a 12-point victory for Maryland, who moves on to the second round. Meanwhile, we're in the opening few minutes of Washington State, and Oral Roberts will send you out to Sacramento, where James Brown and Len Elmore have the call.
So you know he's been the guy who can kind of do it all.
Yemi Ogunye of Oral Roberts missing the first free throw. 6'9" junior forward nails the second. And into the game for ORU, Moses Ihambe. And he replaces Yemi Ogunye.
Well, Ihambe, a pretty good defender. Actually a better long-range shooter. And Oral Roberts looking to try to open up the floor the next time down with Ihambe in the game. Without Kyle Weaver, JB, look for Washington State to be even more focused on trying to execute deliberately. Take the shot clock down, look for the best possible shot, but certainly force Oral Roberts to play defense for almost a full 35. Shot clock at 8 right now.
This is Lowe to the corner. 3-point shot by Rochester, off the mark. Rebounded by Liberty, and ahead to Green. Fans wanted a charging foul. No whistle. Ihambe off the back of the iron, rebounded by Cowgill. Ahead. Great block, but they call a foul. They say caught him on the arm. Superb block by Adam Liberty.
Well, don't think for a moment that Washington State will walk the ball up. When they get opportunities to push, they certainly will. But look at the athleticism of Adam Liberty on the recovery. He did get him across the wrist, but take nothing away from the athleticism, the speed for the recovery, and the elevation.
Style points big on that one, though, Lynn.
And I'll tell you what, it continues to send a message. Sean King has 3 blocks. You see Adam Liberty, a guard. Talking about Marcus Liberty, the great Illinois high school player. He went on to Illinois. But Adam Liberty with the block, and now Washington State has to believe that a lot of guys out here can come up and contest our shots. That always plants a seed in the offensive player's mind.
Clark's free throws make it a 1-point lead by Oral Roberts. Green double team. Nice look over to Tutt. Excellent look by Caleb Green, who's a beast down low, but also unselfish.
And that's the thing that makes Oral Roberts so tough to guard. Inside-out play. Nice job by Green to recognize when he's down low with the doubles coming.
Low. Over to Clark. Cowgill. Rochester. And Harmeling, the 5 in white for the Washington State Cougars. Cowgill. Good pump fake. Good fundamental move as he got Marcello Vili up in the air and kissed it off the glass.
Well, Cowgill's been pretty hot of late, averaging 8 points on the season. Last 5 games, averaging 10 points and 6 rebounds, so he's now established himself inside.
Good strong move. Vili gets his own rebound of the miss, goes up, block. Take your pick. Cowgill and Clark.
Derek Lowe reasonably quiet. He's now assuming the point guard position right now. He originally started as a point guard, combo guard now, but they need his scoring.
Nice pass. Good strong move off the back of the iron there. Couldn't get it was Ivory Clark. This is Tutt. Back to Liberty. Good patience displayed there. Liberty off the back of the iron, rebounded strong by Vili. Tutt gets the roll.
The Washington State's definitely got to focus on the little things. Harmeling forgot to block out. Gave Oral Roberts that second chance opportunity. Washington State is not the type of team that can afford to forget about doing the little things.
Tutt with 8 points for ORU. I tell you what, these Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts look very loose and comfortable, Len.
Well, they are relaxed, no question about it, and they're playing relaxed.
Personal foul called on Adam Liberty of Oral Roberts, and it has been, and that's the second personal on Liberty. A very loose playing Oral Roberts squad, the number 14 seed on top of the number 3 seed, Washington State, 13-8.
Well, Oral Roberts has been able to impose their will on this game so far, being able to extend their defense, utilizing their athletes, particularly Caleb Green inside and Ken Tutt on the outside. And Washington State kind of going away from what gave them their success, more controlled efficiency on the offensive end. They put up some quick shots, although in the last couple of possessions, they've been able to get back to utilizing the shot clock, making Oral Roberts play D.
Washington State cold from the floor, 3 for 11.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the shot blocking capability. Sean King with 3 blocks. You saw Adam Liberty with another spectacular attempt at a block, and Washington State's got to be careful when they're going to the basket. They got to be aware of the long arms.
Nice shot by Ivory Clark. He's averaging 9 a game, and those of you expecting to see these games, we will get you there shortly. 13-10 ORU on top of Washington State here at Arco Arena in Sacramento. Good move to the hoop, blocked from behind. Sean King went to the hoop strong but had it blocked. Blocked down at this end as Clark went up for the shot. Good hustle by Sango.
Well, we're seeing tremendous defense around the basket right now. Excellent timing as well.
Love the up and down pace, and as you mentioned, Washington State will take it if it's there. As you take a look at Rochester, again, good things usually happen when you take it to the hoop. This time, Ken Tutt picks up the foul.
Feature game at the moment out in Sacramento. Pac-10's Washington State trailing Oral Roberts of the Mid-Continent Conference in a 14 versus 3 matchup. And we'll send you out to James Brown and Len Elmore.
But today, Washington State having a little bit of trouble in handling the athleticism of Oral Roberts, although this now is a one-point ball game.
Rochester with 2 free throws. He's got 4 on the afternoon. 1-point lead by Oral Roberts.
One of the reasons why Washington State is staying within striking distance, Caleb Green, they're fine. Oral Roberts fine inside players getting doubled. He's only had 2 attempts at the field, 1 of 2. And this is a guy that averages about 21 points a game.
Ihambe strong off the back of the iron, rebounded by Sango. Kelvin Sango with the rebound, a utility player, and he and Green, Caleb Green, are cousins, having played together in high school. Ihambe with a good look off the back of the iron again. Good hustle by Sango. Boy, he has been active all over the floor. For real-time scores and stats of every tournament game, go to Game Tracker. It's live on CSTV.com, the 24-hour college sports network from CBS Sports, and the officials got it together.
Yeah, they got it right, too. Jim Burr, I think he meant it was Washington State's ball. I'm sorry, Oral Roberts' ball, but he pointed in the wrong direction. Clearly the ball was off the foot of the Washington State defender. And it's important that they get together and they get it right. And you got to appreciate the teamwork by the men in the striped shirts.
Yemi Ogunye into the lineup for ORU, along with King, Tutt, Caleb Green, and Sango.
You saw the double team right there, and Caleb Green, very unselfish, just wants to win, looking to find the open man.
Good penetration by Tutt, but he lost a handle. Those of you expecting to see these games, we will get you there shortly as well as we continue on day 1 here on the NCAA tournament coverage on CBS. Rochester looking for low. And a foul call down on this end of the floor. And that is called on Sango. That's his first.
Well, again, you have to be very patient defensively. You have to communicate when playing Washington State. They use a lot of screens, a lot of guys coming off of staggered screens, and if you're going to switch, you got to talk.
Good alert defensive play by Caleb Green, deflecting that pass. Low. Pass a little too low for the big man, but he recovers nicely. The left hook is no good by Aaron Baines. ORU has missed its last 5 shots, trying to get on track, going down low to Caleb. Nice pass to a cutting Sean King, but off deflected and out of bounds. The winner of this matchup between Washington State and Oral Roberts will play the winner of the next game following this one, the Colonials of George Washington taking on the Commodores of Vanderbilt.
And you can expect that to be an up-and-down game. Both of those teams like to get in the open floor. George Washington, terrific pressure team. Turned people over in the Atlantic 10 tournament 21 times a game in 3 games. That is unbelievable.
No question about it. Carl Hobbs has done an excellent job coaching there. Green, double team, as you mentioned again, Len.
Well, he's going to see that all afternoon. And he's got to be smart about it right there, force the issue.
Yep.
Got to let the game come to you. You've had a great success inside out, particularly going to Ken Tutt. But look at the double right here. Green takes him outside. Normally you take him outside to survey the D, but here he tried to make something happen, force the issue, and Washington State having none of it.
Good defensive hands there by Sango. I'm impressed with Kelvin Sango. He's come in and he has just been active all over the floor. Number 5 there for Oral Roberts. Sango to the bench for Oral Roberts, and he certainly brought some energy and intensity off the bench. Tutt looking down low to Green, double teamed again, tries to power his way up. No foul call. Good tip in by Ogunye.
Well, again, Caleb Green has got to weather the frustration of double teams and recognize if he's doubled, somebody else is open.
He has been composed by and large, but a little frustrated now. You're right. Great jump hook that time by Aaron Baines. That's his first basket.
And Aaron Baines, big and strong right now. Washington State may have an advantage against a more slender Oral Roberts down deep in the post.
Try to tire out Green. Tutt. Rebound, loose ball by Ivory Clark. Clark to Cowgill. Clark, Cowgill, Taylor Rochester, Derek Lowe, and Aaron Baines, the 5 in white for the Cougars of Washington State. This is Lowe. Count it.
Well, Derek Lowe, big-time scorer, converted from point guard to a shooting guard. And he can fire it up and light it up if given the opportunity.
First lead for Washington State in the game on that jumper, and King comes right back to help ORU retake the lead.
And JB, that's what I'm talking about. Caleb Green has got to recognize he doesn't have to score to help his team today. He's just got to take the double team and make sure he recognizes open men. Eventually, Washington State will have to go single coverage if other guys are beating them.
Reminds me of the Michael Jordan philosophy when he was with the Bulls. He would certainly get the other guys involved, knowing he could deliver when necessary. Low. Pass down low. Rochester off the mark, rebounded by Sean King. This is Tutt. Ihambe. Count it.
Well, we talked about Moses Ihambe, terrific three-point shooter, 43% from beyond the arc. And when he's in transition, you got to locate him.
Statistically, the best shooter on the squad off the bench.
We've got 3 finals already. First day, first round action of March Madness. Maryland survives a bit of a scare, wins by 12 over the number 13 seed Davidson, despite Stephen Curry's 30 points. Shoots it just like his old man, Del Curry. Texas Tech fell at the hands of Boston College, 84-75. The final, the Eagles are on to the second round. Tyrese Rice had 26 to lead Boston College. Louisville just jumped all over Stanford early, won that one by 20. Back in action, 7.5 minutes to play in the first half. Washington State with the ball, trailing Oral Roberts. Let's go back to Sacramento.
Cowgill on the pass from Kyle Weaver, high off the glass, missed, rebounded by Sean King.
And again, uncharacteristic Washington State taking relatively quick shots for them when the shot clock is kind of in the 20s instead of working it down to at least 10 seconds.
Ken Tutt fouled that time by Derek Lowe, making the move to the basket. Back with more after this. Second on Lowe.
Upset brewing. Georgetown, a number 2 seed in the East region, trailing Belmont. We'll keep you up to date on that one. For now, back to Washington State and Oral Roberts in Sacramento.
King was going up for the shot, saw an open Tutt, and pass it to him, was fouled in the act of passing.
Talk about Lowe and Weaver, 2 guys that can fill it up. Sitting on the bench for Washington State, a team that's not really a high-scoring team. Only 66 points per game, and when you got your 2 best guys on the bench, you're going to have to find ways to score. With the bunch on the floor right now, Washington State's going to have to do it out of their defense.
Last foul assessed to Aaron Baines of Washington State. Patience being displayed here by ORU on the offensive end. There's Ihambe. Activity around the glass, rebounded by Washington State.
And when I talk about scoring off your defense, a lot of it has to do with preventing second shot opportunities for Oral Roberts and then getting out and being able to execute your offense. Open look right there by Hobson, couldn't knock it down.
And Hobson's missed shot rebounded by Tutt. Thrown away again. A lot of turnovers by ORU trying to get the pace up and down. It's 5 for ORU. As you take a look at Ken Tutt, who certainly has been the other half of that 1-2 punch for ORU, an outstanding senior guard, clutch performer.
And when you talk about turnovers, obviously if you turn it over a lot against Washington State, they're going to take advantage. And Washington State, a team that doesn't beat themselves, 3rd in the nation in the fewest turnovers.
And then again, another example of Washington State shooting quicker than what Coach Bennett would like. He'd like to see, as you already underscored, under 15 seconds on the shot clock, and in terms of the defensive clock as well, playing D.
Absolutely. On both ends, they want to see it around 15 seconds or under. It shows that they're pushing defensively and forcing teams to go to their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th options. And on the offensive end, their offense is working efficiently.
Caleb fouled down low.
Well, Caleb Green has been seeing double teams all afternoon. And for the most part, he's been patient. Here, you see him force the issue but he gets bailed out by his teammate Sean King on a tip. And right there is what he needs to do on a consistent basis. Turn and face the defense. Recognize the guy who's open. When two are on you, mathematics, you don't have to be a mathematician. Understand that somebody's going to be open if you're double teamed.
Thanks for underscoring that for me as you looked at me.
Now, you got a Harvard degree now. I would expect you to be able to say 1 and 1.
Basic arithmetic for sure. Caleb Green, the Mid-Continent Player of the Year, off the back of the iron on a second free throw attempt, but rebounded by Veely. Fresh offensive set for Oral Roberts.
And another failure to block out off the boards, giving Oral Roberts second chance opportunities, something that Washington State cannot afford.
Green missing the easy shot down low.
7 offensive rebounds for the Golden Eagles.
Washington State only shooting 30% from the field. Let's see if they get the shot clock under 15 on this offensive set. That's the design and preference for Coach Tony Bennett.
Well, they've reached that milestone in this possession. 10 on the shot clock.
Rochester, he'll have to put it up. Forces the shot off the front of the glass, or iron that is, rebounded strong that time by Marcello Veely.
And you know, Coach Scott Sutton of Oral Roberts has really drilled his guys on how to play defense for 35 seconds against this Cougar team.
Maybe March Madness time, but still plenty of NBA on ESPN. Coming up later this week on NBA Friday, the Detroit Pistons take on Steve Nash and the Phoenix Suns. East meets West. Is this a possible finals preview? Tune in and find out. The exciting Phoenix Suns and the two-time defending MVP, Steve Nash. 4.5 minutes play in the first half. Washington State down 5 at the hands of Oral Roberts. Back to Sacramento.
Ball game, but if you take a look, only down 5 with the ball. They've been very fortunate. Oral Roberts misfiring again.
No question about that, Lynn. The operative word being fortunate for sure. Weaver, nice pass over to Aaron Baines. Goes up with the left hook, short, rebounded by Weaver. Boy, is he active or what? Which is why they wanted him in there. Cowgill over the back, but no foul called. And Green, a little frustrated, wanted a foul down on the offensive end and wanted an over the back here, but didn't get it.
Well, you take a look right there. Field goals attempted. They really haven't played the under 15 as much as they'd like. 1 of 2. And a lot of quick shots. 0 for 5 when they're shooting under 20. So again, Washington State has to get back to what has gotten them their success. 25-7 overall, 13-5 in the Pac-10. And that is very deliberate offense, isolating their best players.
Weaver, one of the best players. Nice tap to keep the possession alive by Cowgill.
And oh, by the way, Weaver back in the ball game, but with Lowe and Weaver saddled with foul problems and on the bench most of the game, that has impact on your offense as well.
Weaver, good second effort by Weaver. Washington State won for the last 9 offensively.
And that's why Kyle Weaver's back in the game despite 2 fouls. Tony Bennett has to take that risk in order to generate some offense.
Tut off the back of the iron, the glass. Foul called, and it will go against ORU. Timeout here at Arco Arena.
Take a look at the top half of the Eastern region. North Carolina, the #1 seed. They'll be taking on Eastern Kentucky later on. And great matchup down there in Texas and New Mexico State. Could be a dangerous 13-4 matchup for Kevin Durant. Boston College was the first team to punch its ticket to the second round. With a victory over Texas Tech, Georgetown and Belmont are involved in a tight game midway through the first half. We'll keep you in touch with that and everything else. But for now, back to Sacramento with Oral Roberts' 3-point lead over Washington State.
Speed the game up. Washington State now starting to get comfortable in running their stuff, and as we talked about it, under 15 seconds on the shot clock is where they want to be on both ends of the floor.
Cowgill stripped by Caleb Green. Green is all over the floor. Nice bounce pass to Tut. And Tut, not to be denied, going to the basket. He's got 10 points, leading all scorers in this game. And the ball goes out of bounds, and it will go to ORU, a 14 seed. ORU, Oral Roberts, taking on the 3 seed Washington State Cougars. And the last 2 years, a 14 seed has beaten a 3 seed. Oral Roberts trying to make it 3 years in a row.
Right now, doing a good job, again, of extending their defense, creating some turnovers, getting some extra opportunities on the offensive glass, utilizing their athleticism against a Washington State team that really hasn't had the benefit of their 2 leading scorers in Kyle Weaver and Derek Lowe, both with 2 fouls.
Well, Caleb Green won it. Goaltending, you judge.
Well, you take a look at the drive there, and I don't know, hard to tell. Looked like it was coming down a little bit.
I thought.
Clark got up, and the only thing that I can think of, it looked more pronounced coming down on that last replay. The only thing I can think of is the officials believe that that ball didn't have a chance to go in, that it would have gone short.
Well, the description of Ivory Clark with that block, most athletic kid on the team with excellent hops. You saw that one.
Moses Ahambe, again, terrific off the bench from beyond the arc, the kind of guy that can stretch defenses.
Cowgill, strong move to the basket.
Hey, Washington State saying we don't have to play that slow pace. You give us an opportunity. We got some athletes too.
Backcourt Monday on a new CSI Miami. The only thing worse than 1 cold-blooded killer is 3. Don't miss a new episode of Monday's #1 show, CSI Miami, on CBS. Scott Sutton, youngest son of Eddie Sutton, the legendary coach, 8th year at Oral Roberts, says he doesn't like playing the first game, the early game, but his team is looking pretty good despite that.
Well, yeah, they're looking good, but he's got to be a bit concerned right now because Washington State's starting to heat up with some of their secondary guys. We mentioned Lowe and Weaver have been quieted because of foul trouble. And again, the turnovers giving Washington State a chance to stay in this basketball game, despite Oral Roberts dominating at some of the key categories, particularly rebounding.
Ivory Clark is having himself a wonderful stretch. His basket brought Washington State within 4 and a block there as well.
Clark starting to match Oral Roberts in the athleticism department, blocking shots, making a statement.
Give Sean King credit for keeping the ball alive. Green, the benefactor, with his 5th point. Green averages 20 points a game, so certainly Washington State doing a job with him right now.
Well, their goal is to take him out of the game, no question about it, to double team him, force him to give up the ball, but that's where he can make his presence known, get on the weak side, and start commanding the offensive rebound.
2.5-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Taylor Rochester at the point for the Cougars. Getting by Tutt. Double clutches. Nice move by Rochester.
Oh, steal. Kyle Weaver, presence of mind to step into that passing lane, knowing that Oral Roberts wants to get up the floor and get that last shot. Take a look right here. Rochester, nice job off the bounce. Hanging in the air like he didn't care, and look at Weaver. Steps in, exclamation point. Washington State goes in there feeling really good about themselves.
4 points in the last 2 seconds for the Cougars. That's the end of the first half with the score. ORU 28, Washington State 26. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel in New York with AT&T at the half after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching CBS Sports, home of the men's NCAA basketball championship.
Golden Eagles in that one. West Region top half. #1 seed Kansas will play Niagara, the winner of the 65 game, to get into the field. Kentucky and Villanova also a key one on that. Duke will take on VCU, Pittsburgh, Wright State, Indiana, and Gonzaga, UCLA, and Weber State. Meanwhile, out in Sacramento, James Brown and Len Elmore have been on the call of our featured game this afternoon. Washington State and Oral Roberts, but a pretty good battle. Oral Roberts trying to represent the Mid-Continent Conference. They are the tournament champion and regular season champion there. They've been giving Washington State, the #3 seed and 13th ranked team in the nation, pretty much all they could handle. Caleb Green, though, meanwhile, has found it very tough. He is the 3-time Mid-Continent Conference Player of the Year, and he has seen double teams all afternoon long in this one. He's having a hard time trying to get his numbers anywhere near a 20-point per game average. So we'll see if he can get things going in the second half and take the momentum back that Washington State stole at the end of the first half. Send it back out to James Brown and Len Elmore on the call.
Basketball game, and a lot of that has been a result of their more disciplined approach to offense.
And as you already articulated, the supporting cast has done an outstanding job for the Cougars. Cowgill.
And there's one of the guys, again, we talked about Derek Lowe and Kyle Weaver as the mainstays, but because they've been taken away, other guys have had to step up. And Robbie Cowgill is one of those guys that's been able to do it, a couple of blocks as well as hitting shots.
A momentum swing to close out the first half in favor of the Cougars. Let's see if they can continue to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how big that steal by Weaver was, and making the shot at the buzzer, what it did for the confidence of Washington State.
Green blocked by Ivory Clark. Clark has been sensational off the bench.
Well, he has been tremendous, as you mentioned, particularly on the defensive end. That's his third block of the day.
Taylor Rochester, Eric Lowe, Cowgill, Weaver, and Clark, and a nice lefty move there by Rochester. He's got 8.
Well, again, the Cougars are not just Derek Lowe and Kyle Weaver. They got some other guys that can play this game.
Rochester 5 above his average, and a charging foul called on Caleb Green, who has been working hard trying to find his move down low, and Washington State has done a nice job down there frustrating the big fella.
Well, they certainly have. This time he's got a one-on-one situation, just he and Cowgill, and Caleb Green again trying to force the issue. When you're accustomed to scoring almost 21 points a game, you know, you want to put the ball in the basket when you get your hands on it.
Patience on the offensive end, clock under 15, which is where they want to be. And Lowe capitalizes. So we underscore that point again because that's Washington State's style.
Very efficient, using staggered screens to get Derek Lowe open for the jumper.
First 3 for the Cougars this afternoon. Off the mark for Tutton. Rebound is strong by Clark. He has played sensationally.
He absolutely has. I mean, he has made his presence felt, particularly on the defensive end and on the boards. And still, the bonus, he's been scoring a bit.
Would like to have heard that halftime conversation by Bennett. Washington State has hit the last 8 shots in a groove now. Nice pass down low. Good pump fake and pass. Low to Clark.
Cougars on the prowl right now.
Dominion right now. Butler with a 3-point advantage over the Monarchs. We'll keep you posted on all the other action going on around the country as March Madness begins here on ESPN. It's a 9-0 run for Washington State to start the second half. We'll go back to Sacramento.
To the end of the first half has served them well. 35-28, Washington State on top of Oral Roberts. Ihambe down low to Green. More patience this time. Paid off.
And you're exactly right. That was patience. Caleb Green hesitated a moment to make sure that the double wasn't coming before he went into his move. And really, Washington State forcing Caleb Green probably to think a little bit more than he would like. But nevertheless, the senior with the experience recognized that opportunity.
13 below his average right now. Green with only 7.
But he's an explosive offensive player. Got plenty of time for him to get back on the mark.
Rochester, low. This is Cowgill from the corner. In and out, kept alive by Weaver, but picked up by Sango. Good alert play by Kelvin Sango. Down to Green, trying to get him off. In and out. Rebounded by Weaver.
Yeah, Washington State's got to be careful, though. Caleb Green starting to feel it a little bit. He had a little hard luck on that shot.
And Lowe is feeling it. 10 for Lowe, 3 below his average, but a 38-30 lead by the Cougars. Foul called on Lowe. That will be his third. Breaking the action. Back with more after this.
Our featured game, Washington State and Oral Roberts. Been a good run in this second half for Washington State. They got the 8-point lead. You saw Derek Lowe on the bench. He's picked up his third foul, so he may be sitting for a little while. But the Cougars, who trailed throughout much of the first half, are now 8 points up with 15:40 to play in the second half. We're going to send you back out to Sacramento. James Brown and Len Elmore have the call.
This is Ken Tutt for Oral Roberts.
And Ken Tutt is one of those guys that needs to start getting loose right now for Oral Roberts. They got to find some other offense.
In and out. Kept alive by Oral Roberts. Specifically, Moses Ihambe, and a whistle on that side of the floor and a foul on Cowgill. Stuck in the office and can't get to a TV? Then sign up for NCAA March Madness on demand and watch the men's tournament online for free. For more, go to ncaasports.com/MMOD. Deep jumper from the corner by Tutt, off the mark, rebounded by Weaver. This is Hobson.
And that time Tutt's shot was challenged by Washington State. They're starting to find him.
Rochester, Weaver, Cowgill, Hobson, and Clark, the 5 in white for Washington State.
And here's with Derek Lowe on the bench. Here's where Kyle Weaver probably has to wake up a little bit, although Washington State having some success from some of their secondary players, including Ivory Clark with the ball right now. There's a post up by Weaver.
Nice move by Weaver. Gets the roll.
I think that's excellent coaching by Tony Bennett. Again, he's got two go-to guys. And with Derek Lowe in foul trouble, he's got the luxury of Kyle Weaver out there on the floor, and he's going to him as often as he can.
And Oral Roberts has been going to Green as often as he can, but he can't convert right now. This is Weaver. Weaver, 6 points and 7 rebounds. Outstanding effort.
And you know, Weaver really wanted to shoot that ball on their first touch, but he looked at the shot clock and realized that is not part of their offensive scheme.
Foul called under the basket. I think this will be called on King. And it is on Sean King. That's his first. A 10-point lead by the Cougars, their largest of the game. Washington State scored the first 9 points in this half, trailed by 2 at the half, went on a 13-0 run, and they're keeping it going right now. So the number 3 seed is on top by the score of 41-30.
And this is a game where Washington State, after a slow start, has really clamped down defensively, particularly on Ken Tutt and Caleb Green, the 2 leading scorers for Oral Roberts. And offensively, they're finally starting to run their stuff the way they want to run it on the other end. Slowly, disciplined, and efficient.
Green, not having success on the blocks, takes it out of the wing and slashes to the basket and picks up the foul. That foul called on Cowgill. That's his third.
And again, Oral Roberts just looking for a combination. Some way to get Caleb Green open and get more looks, as well as to get Ken Tutt, particularly inside out.
A combination that will stem that 24-5 run for the Cougars. See why TV Guide calls Patrick Warburton hilarious in TV's #1 new comedy, Rules of Engagement. That's Monday on CBS right after 2.5 Men. Green dropping in the second free throw.
You know, we talk about Caleb Green. He's the NCAA's leading scorer, career scorer among active players. And also, this is a guy, again, only shooting 3 of 13 from the field. A lot of that has to do with Washington State's defense. But a guy who also gets to the free throw line more than anybody in NCAA.
Great pass by Rochester, the flush by Clark.
And as we mentioned in the first half, Washington State, yeah, they like deliberate tempo, but when they have a chance to get their athletes free, they're going to do it.
Tutt, deep three, count it. Tutt drops in the three from deep. It's a 13-point game for Ken Tutt. A 44-35 lead by Washington State.
And it's no coincidence, James, that worked inside out. Caleb Green, a little penetration, kicking it out to his running partner, Ken Tutt. That's the combination Oral Roberts has to exploit.
Hobson looking inside to Baines. Back out to Hobson from the corner. Hobson trying to keep it alive. Knocked out of bounds by Veely. It'll stay Washington State ball.
A lot of people would think that because of the deliberate style that Washington State doesn't have any athletes, but Ivory Clark has put an end to that fallacy. And Rochester again off the bounce, head up, looking ahead, and that's so key in trying to run break opportunities. Ball handler has to see what's in front of him.
Clark, the young man from New Orleans, we mentioned before, excellent hops. He's displayed that here. But superb play by Taylor Rochester. Dropped in by David Harmeling. Harmeling with 3 points on the afternoon. A 12-point Cougars lead. Tutt is not afraid to take that ball to the basket.
No, he's not, and he's smart. He recognizes he's being played now, being challenged on the perimeter shot. Little ball fake and then take it to the basket is just what the doctor ordered for Oral Roberts. But now their problem is on the defensive end. They've got to now start to string together some stops to get back into this ball game.
Tutt with the first free throw. He's got 14, averaging 16 a game on the season.
And early in this game, in the first half, Ken Tutt, the beneficiary of a lot of inside-out passes from Caleb Green, who was double-teamed. Second half, Washington State not really willing to double-team Green. They've got a lead, and they've got some guys who are playing some terrific defense inside. Again, particularly Ivory Clark, who's on the bench right now, but he's given Green all that he can handle.
And Washington State has to feel awfully good, particularly with Derek Lowe on the bench and getting the production from the others, as you mentioned, and a nice floor job being done by Rochester, who can also score. The lefty dropping in his 10th point of the game. Rochester averaging only 3. Liberty. Count it. And foul. Liberty, one of the guys that Coach Sutton said would have to step up big in order for Oral Roberts to have a shot.
Little bracketology for you here in the East region. Number 1 seed North Carolina. They should handle themselves through the first couple of rounds. You look down to Texas at number 4. Player of the Year candidate Kevin Durant. Could he lead the Longhorns on a run? Boston College already into the second round. The first team to advance in first round action today. And of course, in our featured game, Washington State and Oral Roberts battling it out in the second half. Over to the South region, number 1 seed Ohio State. They get Central Connecticut. And over in the bottom half of that region, Memphis, the number 2 seed. They'll be taking on North Texas. Just under 12 minutes to play. Washington State with a 9-point lead over Oral Roberts. Will go back to Sacramento.
They need to get extra opportunities.
And Derek Lowe back in the game for Washington State.
As is Kyle Weaver. Again, they've got their 2 guns in the game. And they've established their secondary guys, so it's going to make it even more difficult for Oral Roberts.
Strong effort by Baines. Couldn't get the shot. Good aggressive rebound, but he couldn't get the shot.
Well, Baines, not that skilled down low, even though he's a big body. He would have been better served kicking it back outside and resetting.
Tutt down to Green. Double teamed and is pushed by Aaron Baines.
I talked about Baines' big body, and sometimes that big body goes against you. You try to hold your ground. And when Caleb Green bounced off him, I guess the officials interpreted that as a push.
Second personal on Aaron Baines. This is Tutt. Tutt coming alive, and Oral Roberts will need exactly that. 17 points for Ken Tutt. This is low for Washington State. Rochester, nice pass inside to Weaver, but in traffic. 15 on the shot clock. There's Lowe. I tell you, he didn't lose it on the bench, huh?
Fundamentals, baby. Ball fake, put it on the floor and pull up for the short jumper.
Lowe has 12. Very comfortable, as you mentioned, as a shooting guard, but can play the point very nicely. Green goes around Baines and is fouled by Baines, so that this will be 3 on Baines. As we take a look in the East region, Boston College has advanced, beating Bob Knight and Texas Tech, and Georgetown is winning big over Belmont.
Boy, setting up a matchup of a former member of the Big East against the Big East champions, 2 of the finest coaches in college basketball, and Al Skinner and John Thompson III. Both of them have really set the standard for, having teams that play pretty good D.
And I remember Al Skinner quite well as a player, played, of course, with
Julius. Al Skinner with
Julius Irving.
I played against him.
I know you did.
I hated those 6'5" guards that could bear down the lane on you.
Len Elmore enjoyed quite the career. High school All-America at Power Memorial, college All-America at Maryland, life All-America with Harvard Law.
Oh, what can I say?
Rebounded by Clark, keeping it alive for Washington State. The number 3 seed, their highest seed ever. The best previous was number 5 when George Raveling was coaching there. Former Maryland coach, you know all too well. Off the mark there. The shot by David Harmeling.
And George Raveling's assistant at Washington State, Kelvin Sampson, someone who will be bringing his Indiana Hoosiers in here a little later this afternoon.
Liberty, Ogunye, Tutt, Green. And a nice move by Veely, the 5th member of the 5 on the floor for Oral Roberts. First basket for Veely, who averages 8 points a game.
Well, Marcello Veely, 6th man of the year in the Mid-Continent Conference, has really been held down. Hasn't had the opportunity to strut his stuff offensively.
And then it goes back to the point that you made at the end of the first half. Washington State and Coach Tony Bennett had to be feeling pretty good about their position, given that they were cold in the first half. Well, they warmed up nicely now. Nice pass. Good cutting move by David Harmeling.
Well, again, the precision that Washington State uses on offense works very well against the zone, and Oral Roberts employing a zone right there, and Washington State just used the time and picked it apart.
And give the credit to Weaver, as you mentioned before, who had to play big, and he is. Caleb Green has always played big as he drops in the basket. Down low for Oral Roberts. Green has 12.
And again, we mentioned the fact that Oral Roberts can score. They can put points on the board in a hurry, but they have got to now slow Washington State down. Got to be able to string together some stops.
53-47. Cougars on top. Rebounded by Ogunye. 8:09 left in regulation. Liberty. Short. Rebounded strong by Harmeling. This is low. And nothing more frustrating if you don't score on the offensive end and then come back and have to play defense for an extended period of time to have the opposition score. That's mentally frustrating.
It is, and it takes discipline. Oral Roberts has to be careful not to risk.
Weaver! It has been all Washington State in the second half. Kyle Weaver, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and style points galore on that last slam dunk. Cougars on top, 55-47. Here come the Cougars. This is Weaver. To Lowe. Smart move, back out, set up the set.
And you talk about Kyle Weaver, again, we call him the handyman. He's the do-everything kind of guy.
Got a teammate you like to have.
Oh, no question about it. Not only can he deliver by himself, but he can set you up. When you're playing with a guy like that, you better have your hands ready.
Unselfish, versatile. And whistle called, traveling on the inside. 55-47, Cougars on top of Oral Roberts.
for the Hoyas. We're going to send you back out to Sacramento, where James Brown and Len Elmore have the call. Washington State with the lead over Oral Roberts.
First half, 4 points in 2 seconds that turned the tide for Washington State, and Oral Roberts playing catch-up.
Well, Washington State has really picked up where they left off. On the defensive end, you see another block there by Ivory Clark. But 12 field goals, 63% field goal shooting in this second half, and only 1 turnover. You talk about efficient use of time and personnel. And that's how Washington State has gotten to 25 wins this year. A terrific 14-game turnaround from last year.
4th block of the game for Ivory Clark of Washington State, and the 3. Rochester is on fire. 13 points for Rochester. He's done a nice job in all phases of the game.
Well, he certainly has, but he's been a hot guy. Last 3 games, he's averaged 17 points per game. So he's starting to step up offensively, and boy, it couldn't happen at a better time when Derek Lowe and Kyle Weaver both in foul trouble in the first half. Washington State seemed to be slowed down by the lack of their 2 big scorers. And they've had guys like Rochester, and I mentioned Ivory Clark, David Harmeling, had those guys stepping up.
Washington State comes in with a mark of 25-7, tied for the 2nd most wins in school history. You may ask, when were the most wins? 26 wins back in 1940-41 when they were NCAA runners-up. Off the front of the iron is Tutt, rebounded by who else? Rochester. 5 rebounds for Rochester. In and out. Way to keep it alive. Robbie Cowgill. Strong rebounding effort by Robbie Cowgill. 6'10" junior center for the Cougars.
And Cowgill just snatched that away from Caleb Green. Caleb Green's got to recognize, as a senior, you know, he's got to play with a sense of urgency right now, and he can't get manhandled underneath.
Under 10 on the shot clock, but this is where Washington State wants to be. Cowgill off the mark, rebounded by Ogunye.
Much better job of blocking out by Ogunye.
So then we talked about the battle to establish the tempo. Clearly, Washington State has done that in the second half.
Well, they have, but they've also borrowed a couple of pages from Oral Roberts. They've run some fast breaks, thrown some alley-oops, blocked some shots.
5th by Clark. 5th block. Rochester, strong move to the basket.
Again, Washington State just doesn't play deliberately for the sake of playing deliberately. They'll take their opportunities when they present themselves, just as it did then on the layup.
Well, a turnaround half for Washington State. And that is an expression that is appropriate for Washington State. Blocked by Weaver.
These guys are flying in these white shirts to everything. Clark, Weaver, even though a foul was called right there, they are definitely sending a message. As I mentioned in the first half, when Sean King blocked 3 quick shots, he was saying no layups. Well, right back at you from the Cougars of Washington State.
And a good job by the official trying to calm Green down, as you would expect of Oral Roberts, a very composed team anyway, consistent with the philosophy of the school. But Green a little frustrated there on that one, and the official did a good job of chatting with them. Cowgill picks up his 4th personal. He'll take a seat on the bench. David Harmeling is in. And it'll stay at this end.
But defensively, you talk about being able to protect the goal. 8 blocks by Washington State, 5 by Ivory Clark.
Moses Ihambe with a deep 3 and is fouled by Kyle Weaver. Possibly a 4-point play coming up.
Well, Kyle Weaver has 14 blocks on perimeter shooters right now, but that was not the right time to go after a shot. You have a 13-point lead. You don't want to give extra opportunities. And here, the opportunity for a 4-point play.
And it is a 4-point play and a 9-point lead by Washington State with 4:01 left in regulation. 10 points for Ihambe.
And you see the full court pressure right now. This is the last gasp for Oral Roberts.
Blocked from behind, but with the body. The foul called on Oral Roberts, Moses Ihambe.
Today, and he was outstanding in the ACC tournament, has now continued it. McKenna Beckway, the senior who's led Maryland's charge back to the tournament, a double-double, and then David Padgett, who has really led the surprising Louisville Cardinals throughout the second half of the season, and they just shellacked Stanford.
Did I hear a little extra pep in the voice there on that Maryland read?
Well, you know, you got to give the seniors their prop, too. It just so happens he's a Terp. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Ivory Clark, who, by the way, has 5 block shots. That ties his career high. All you armchair athletes out there, listen up. A new study shows that exercise may drastically reduce your chances of getting a killer disease. Details tonight on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. Clark having himself a whale of a game. 14 points, 5 blocks, as we mentioned. And the winner here moves on to take the winner of the game following. It'll be George Washington and Vanderbilt. Lowe with the long rebound.
And again, I talked about Oral Roberts. This may be their last gasp. They tried to apply full court pressure before. That didn't work. Now half court, but they've got to be careful not to start sacrificing offense for trying to take threes and get it all back in one possession. It all begins on the defensive end. Make some stops, get some buckets, start putting the pressure on Washington State.
We noticed in practice yesterday with the Cougars that the coaches had the letters TAY on their sweatshirts. That acronym stands for turnaround year, and that's exactly what's happened. And boy, talk about an impressive performance by this young man, Clark. Simply a phenomenal game. 17 points, 65-51. Cougars on top with 2:48 left in regulation. Liberty, double clutches, can't get the roll. Strong rebound by Green, who's fouled by David Harmeling.
And Caleb Green showing the heart of a senior, that urgency, not giving up. Despite being down 14 points, still battling on the offensive glass. But you talk about turnaround. Ivory Clark is turnaround personified for Washington State. When he began blocking shots, he began playing above the rim. That's when Washington State made their move.
And I know as a big man, you can appreciate that. Well, just as a player, period. As Green drops home the first free throw, Harmeling takes a seat on the bench. Robbie Cowgill comes back in for the Cougars.
And that's the beauty of this tournament. We talk about the fallibility of these young men, and 2 of the top scorers for Washington State and Lowe and Weaver not having their typical kinds of games. But when you talk fallibility, the other side of it is guys rising above their capabilities, their limitations, to have that one ball game. And Ivory Clark has certainly had that one ball game today.
No quit in the Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts as they continue to play tough D. Good kick out by Rochester.
An even smarter decision by Weaver. Had an open shot, but wants to work clock.
That's a thinking ball player and team. Rochester, good move. Tap in by Weaver. Oh my goodness. (67-52), Cougars on top. Make it 54 now. 67-52. It should be 54 with 1:43 left in regulation.
And at the pace Washington State plays, Oral Roberts knows that time is just about run out. It's very hard when they spread the floor for Oral Roberts to be able to create the turnovers that they need to get extra opportunities on the offensive end.
As you took a look there, Tony Bennett, first season as head coach at Washington State in the Pac-10. First team to finish in the Pac-10 last 1 year and go to the tournament next year, and the first team to be picked last by the media and go to the tournament. So you don't believe what the pundits have to say. Trust in yourselves. Foul called on Oral Roberts. Today's Chevrolet players of the game are Ken Tutt from Oral Roberts and Ivory Clark of Washington State. These 2 young men had outstanding games. You see the numbers there, statistically embellishing what they have done overall on the floor.
And Washington State obviously very content to spread the floor and take the fouls.
That one committed by Adam Liberty of Oral Roberts. Still aggressive hustling by Oral Roberts. And Green fouling Robbie Cowgill, recognizing there's only 1:12 left in regulation, trailing by 13. The Golden Eagles are to the Cougars. Robbie Cowgill, the junior center, at the line, makes the effort in all of his play. Cowgill for the extra pass. Cowgill looking for his 7-point, and he's got it. Wednesday, Survivor returns on a special night with a special twist. Don't miss a new Survivor Wednesday at 8, 7 Central, only on CBS. Veely with the rebound of the miss by Cowgill. 14-point lead by the Cougars.
Oral Roberts needs some quick hitters, as we just saw right there. Adam Liberty is using a high screen and scoring, but continued fouls, continued free throws made, and this one's over. And you take a look at Washington State as they advance, looking to meet the winner of Vanderbilt and George Washington. And again, either one of those teams, Vandy or GW, will present the same type of issue. An up-tempo basketball team trying to break the tempo control of Washington State. Although, if they're scouting this game, they better be wary of the fact that Washington State can play up and down a little bit as well. They don't want to make a steady diet of it, but certainly you give them opportunities. They've got the athletes to play above the rim.
On the home floor of Oral Roberts are the words "expect a miracle." That's emblazoned on the floor. Well, that expression was co-opted by the fans of Washington State, and indeed delivered today, coming from behind in the first half and doing it in the second half. Clark.
Go with Caleb Green with that turnover. Again, you got to really tip your hat to Caleb Green. What a tremendous career he's had. Again, we talk about him being among the NCAA leading scorers among active players. He is the NCAA leading scorer among active players. And also a guy who, you know, is one of the best players ever in the mid-continent.
And Clark was trying to help the official with the call, which is what I was trying to indicate back there. Clark, 13 of his 19 points came in this half as Derek Lowe dribbles down the clock. 17 seconds left. Clark. Why not? The Cougars come away with the victory, and now we take you back to New York and Greg Gumbel.
So Washington State gets their first round victory rather impressively. 70-54 is the final. And a reminder, some action coming your way tomorrow. The first round continues here on ESPN. Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets out of the ACC. Got some quality victories this year. They'll be taking on the 7-seeded Runnin' Rebels of UNLV. That's the first of our feature games tomorrow here on ESPN. The second, the Winthrop Golden Eagles. They'll be taking on Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish out of the Big East and the number 6 seed. This is a tough matchup for them. Winthrop, an experienced team. It's been to the tournament a whole lot lately. Still looking for that breakthrough victory. They hope to get it. They've got a star big man in Craig Bradshaw out of Wellington, New Zealand. He'll be looking to lead Winthrop to the upset victory.
A ESPN apresenta as regras da NFL. A equipe especial de um time começa com o kicker. Ele dá um chute inicial da linha de 30 jardas. O segundo a ser mencionado é o retornador, o jogador que recebe a bola.